Welcome back. We'll now look at a different method to find weights when we're talking about our value modeling for the SDP. So the swing weight matrix is the method presented in the Green Book, the Parnell, Driscoll, Henderson text. And again, it's trying to put numbers to this idea that not all values should be equally weighted from the stakeholder's perspective. By adding weights, we are able to better quantify trade-offs when we have different objectives, and we can then assess and put values to our different value measures that we have. So if we're thinking in terms of our example with restaurants, right? So here we have 5 different value measures. We have menu choices, drink choices, service rating, food quality rating, and health score. We want to consider both the level of importance of the value measure, and we can put high, medium, and low, as well as the amount of variation in our value measures. And again, high, medium, and low. When we're building our swing weight matrix, a couple things we need to think about is whatever we put in that top left box should have a score up to 100. 100 is the highest score we can give, and a 1 is the lowest score we can give. If we gave a 0, it wouldn't even earn any kind of a weight, so it would just fall out. So the minimum score we can give is a 1, and the highest is a 100. And what we want to do is put our very important value measures in that on the left-hand side of our matrix and in the high column, and less important or medium valued importance we put in the middle, and then low all the way to the right. And similar for variation. So variation is important to think about because there's times where there's little variation or not a lot of range in a potential value measure. So you can imagine if we're talking about cars and you can only have between 6 seat belts and 7 seat belts, then maybe that would have a lower variation. But if you can have miles per gallon ranging from 10 miles per gallon all the way to 60 miles a gallon, that's a lot more variation, and that could have a lot more. That deserves to have a higher swing weight associated if you're talking miles per gallon, since there's so much more variation possible. So we want to look in terms of variation, variability, as well as importance. Okay, so in this example, we would say menu choices is very important and has a lot of variation. So we'd give that a score of 100. And then we'd go from there. We'd continue to go work down and say drink choices has a medium importance, but still a lot of variation. That would earn an 80. Our food quality rating does not have a lot of variation, so we'd give that a low score on variation, but it's very important, so we'd give it a 60. And then you can see service rating, I gave a 50 because it's medium importance, medium variation, and then health scores, low variation and low importance. The reason we'd say maybe low importance for that is because generally we could make an assumption that we only accept restaurants that have a very high health score, so there's not going to be much variation, and so therefore it's not that important. Now, an important thing to note when we're building out a swing weight matrix is that if you look a weight that we give any value measure can not be higher than if you look to its beneath it or to the right. So for example, menu choices earned a 100. We could not have something below it or to the right that also earned a 100, right? So drink choices earns an 80, food quality earns a 60, so we're good there. Service rating, we gave a 50, which is fine because if you look above and to the left, we don't have anything lower than 50. The drink choices score of 80 is fine because it is in a higher category for variability. And then if we look down to the right of service rating, we are good there because the health score is less than the service rating, right? We have a 40 as compared to a 50. So So we want to make sure that we don't have a score. If we had a health score of 60 and a service rating of 50, and they were both in these same boxes, then we would violate our rule of how we build out a swing weight matrix. So we need to make sure that as we go down and to the right, our numbers are always decreasing. Now, once we build our swing weight matrix, this isn't too helpful in and of itself. We need to leverage this equation 10.2 to find out our actual normalized global weights, as we call them. So how we can find the global weights is first we tally up or we total up our swing weights. So we can add up our 100, our 80, our 60, the 50, and the 40. Comes out to 330 as a sum. And then we can leverage that equation 10.2. And we remember our rule that all of our weights, so in this case we have 5 value measures, we have 5 weights, they all need to equal 1. All right, so you can see how we would use our equation 10.2. We'd say 100 divided by 330. If we're looking at menu choices, and we can find the global weight would be 0.3. And we can go right across with all of our other value measures. We have a slight rounding error here, so we come out with 0.99, but if we go to the thousandth place, we find that that does equal, in fact, 1. All right, so the important thing to differentiate is that we have our swing weights are our weights in the actual matrix. So a swing weight, is as an example, is a 100 or a 50 or an 80. Those are all swing weights. But then when we convert to global weights need to sum to 1. So our global weight for menu choice is 0.3, while our swing weight for menu choice is 100. All right, our global weight for drink choice is 0.24, but our swing weight for drink choice is 80. So important to differentiate the difference between a swing weight and a global weight. And the global weights are what need to sum to 1 when we do our check after we do our calculations. You'll have some time to practice on this in the live part of today's lesson, in the live session. So you'll get some hands-on calculating both the pairwise comparison method and the swing weight method. All right, so that wraps up today's lesson, lesson 6. Big reminder, WPR 1 is tomorrow. It'll be during the first class hour on Blackboard. You'll get more details from your instructor in the live session today. Please come with any questions ready to go. And the biggest advice I can give is study your lesson objectives. The way we write WPRs in the systems department, if you haven't had one yet, is we map questions directly to lesson objectives. So make sure you have a good understanding of those lesson objectives, and you can do exactly what we're asking for on that. And if you are comfortable with it, if you've done the reading, if you've watched the videos, done the homeworks and the practice problems, you will be fine on the exam. All right. That being said, if you have questions, if you have issues, make sure you ask your instructor for some additional instruction, or even better would be to address it in your class session today, so that way you can have a discussion with the rest of your peers as well. That being said, best of luck on tomorrow's WPR, and I'll see you all soon.